to Property Panorama. Coming up in a few moments' time, we're going to be having a look at some of the trending stories in the wonderful world of property. But before that, let's see what happened when Jenny caught up with a gentleman who wanted to give her advice on whether it's still viable to invest in buy-to-let.
Invest in buy-to-let, they used to be the magic words, but since the government has proposed cracking down on tax breaks, are they still the investment they once were? With me to discuss is Selvan Saha. Well, Selvan, it's great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
So what do you make of the government's decisions when it comes to buy-to-lets?
I think I understand the thrust behind what they're trying to do. Look, we're all for home ownership, of course. I think every landlord, would say we live in a society and there's plenty to go around. And what we have seen over the last 10, 20 years is perhaps a concentration of property ownership where more and more homes have been bought by fewer and fewer people, and so it becomes concentrated. And an industry has started on the back of that, this buy-to-let industry. Over the last 20 years, it's been a very, very lucrative industry. There was a study last year which said, had you invested in buy-to-let when the mortgages first started in 1996, your growth would have been several fold what it would have been had you not had you invested in other asset classes, equity, gilts, government bonds, etc. And so I understand why that's happened. And the government, the thrust behind wanting to I guess, control it is because they want more and more people to own their own homes. But, and there has, and so let's study what they're trying to do. There's a four-prong attack as far as we could tell. Firstly, the tax relief that people get. So we got this with the last budget, the actual tax relief that people get. Now we can only get relief at the basic rate. So high rate taxpayers, they get affected. People on the cusp in between tax brackets, they go up possibly one bracket. And so that affects a lot of people. Secondly, there is the 10% wear and tear tax as well, which before, we were allowed to claim 10% on wear and tear, and that's been taken away. Thirdly, the 3% increase that came out with the autumn statement, so the 3% stamp duty, that's obviously had an effect, or that's going to have an effect when it comes into play in April for people wanting to buy new properties at every level of the stamp duty bracket. And fourthly, of course, you've got the fact that any gains that someone makes, so capital gains tax, has to be paid within a month, whereas before you could obviously wait till the end of the tax year. So I mean, this is an all-out assault on landlords, is the way I as a landlord see it. And whilst, and these measures are there to try and control landlords making the amount of money and perhaps even dissuade people from investing in this industry and look at other industries, there aren't many other industries for people to actually invest in. The markets are doing terrifically badly. The interest rates at the moment for savers is abysmal. So where else can people put their money? So there's that on one side. Then on the other side, you've got the fact that there is a genuine need by people in this country to live somewhere, and they're not able to afford their own properties. And so they do have to rely on landlords like us to actually provide the housing, social housing investments.
Well, there is the argument if the landlords didn't buy them all up, perhaps there'd be more available properties for them to buy. But putting that aside, these aren't going to come into force until 2017, and they actually only apply to landlords with mortgages, of course, and only 30% of landlords do have mortgages. So do you see it having much of an impact on the buy-to-let industry?
I don't. I mean, again, every time we've seen every one of these measures come in, we haven't seen, a slowdown in the market. Again, we're trying to have controls at a micro level, but we live in an international world where there's lots of other factors at play. At the moment, for example, with the devaluation of sterling internationally, it's now more attractive for someone in Southeast Asia with the issues that they're having with their stock markets, in fact, globally, for them to come back to London and buy properties here, because we are now cheaper. Even with the 3% increase in stamp duty, it's still cheaper, possibly because of the devaluing of sterling, for someone else to come in and buy properties in the UK. So whilst we're trying local measures to actually slow down the buy-to-let market, the fact that it's open to international buyers, that they can come in and buy for cash, will still push up ownership by investors, and take out properties from the market available to first-time buyers.
Well, I suppose overseas buyers see it as such a good investment because property prices here certainly do hold their price and they're going up constantly. So it is a good investment. But buy-to-let landlords also, they have another issue because they could face tougher times getting a mortgage because the Treasurer is suggesting giving powers to the central bank to regulate the market. What do you make of this?
I mean, we've had more and more regulations over a period of time, and the latest is that Bank of England is going to take control of mortgage lending criteria. Well, we've already had that. We've already had the means testing tightened up. And if that's going to get, and certainly, I mean, at the moment, we've already seen Barclays, for example, introduce 135% loan cover on their mortgages as opposed to the 125%, which is what most banks use. So slowly, I see that creeping in. Sure. But again, there are enough people with enough equity that I think they'll still be able to raise the capital they need to buy these properties, only because there aren't enough alternative places to actually put money. Pensions, again, so you'll say, in this, trying to dissuade people to buy properties is one strategy, but at the same time, Mr. Osborne is also trying to possibly abolish or certainly tweak pensions. And so, again, someone coming up to pension age would have to find an alternative place to put their money. You can't put it in equities. It's very choppy at the moment. You can't put it into commodities. It's dropping at the moment. And if not UK properties, then someone has to look elsewhere. But we all know UK properties, and it's, and in fact, the rest of the world is buying here because it makes sense.
So bearing all of this in mind, do you think it's still a good idea to invest in buy-to-let?
I am. Everyone I know in buy-to-let market is. Our business, we've seen more inquiries over the last 3-4 months than we did, in the sort of 3-4 months prior to that, over the summer.
You don't think people are hurrying up before the April deadline of the stamp
We're
duty
certainly,
rise?
absolutely. The start of the year has been phenomenal, and absolutely people wanting to complete deals prior to the March increase in stamp duty. Absolutely, I think that's a factor. And it's a significant amount of money. I mean, on a £250,000 house, it's something like £7,500 or something. You end up paying more because of the stamp duty increase. And that's a significant amount you've got to find in cash. That's not a mortgageable amount, so that's not leveraged. So, yeah.
You suggested you mentioned where other people can put their money, and I know a lot of people are now looking towards student housing. Do you think this offers a good return?
The problem that I have with student housing is that, first of all, you can't get leverage on it. So as in, you can't get a mortgage on it. So if I need to buy a student house for £100,000, I need to find £100,000. If I could buy a house, and certainly again, we find properties up north, with a discount. If I wanted to buy a house up north, I need something like £25,000, even with transactional costs, to actually purchase it. And I then have it for, let's say, 10 years, and it's likely to go up significantly in value in that time, and then I can sell it for a significant amount. With student housing, I can't do that. I can't remortgage it. A lot of these operators, offer me a fixed return. But essentially, that is all I'm getting, just the income. I'm not getting any capital growth, despite what they say. I'm not convinced. Yeah. I've been in the property market for the best part of 20 years. I've never bought, I don't mind buying a house, which I then let to students. I've done that. There's HMO, which is another sort of animal. Those things I understand, but buying a block of, or in a block of flats, buying a room as a student investment that some people are offering, I don't think it's what it's cut out to be. And I think a lot of people will have failure in the rental market in years to come, and that again, could cause problems for savers.
So we're a long way of falling out of love with buy to invest. Well, Selvan, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.